Hi, welcome to Pages with Sidra here. I bring you the novels behind your favorite manga, Manhwa, and Manhua, whether by translating or simply reading them for you. Let's dive into the stories that inspire the comics we all love. I Got a Cheat Ability in a Different World and Become Extraordinary Even in the Real World, Volume 14. Chapter 4, Stellar. Part 1, Rebellion Flash Legs. Yuzagi managed to distract Tone and Sears and let Iris escape, and then unleashed a series of blows from his legs. Each one was strong enough to tear the ground and deform the surrounding terrain, but Tone and the others remained calm. Rebellion sound. Tone struck his lyre and let out a myriad of sounds that paralyzed all of Yuzagi's attacks. But Yuzagi had already anticipated that. Odis. Holy Magic Beam. Odis, who had prepared himself behind Yuzagi's attack, released a beam of black and white magic. The rays spiraled and intertwined and hit Tone with enormous speed. Horn thrust. Cirrus stepped between Tone and the rays of light and hit them with his horn. The moment the rays collided with the horns, a tremendous shock spread around them. However, Cirrus was unharmed. You act smart, but you can barely stand up, can you? As Cirrus said, Yuzagi and Odis were already wounded to the core. Holy, who had received the divine power, was that powerful. How, because of your useless efforts, will be blamed by Shu. Really, Leo was killed and Iris escaped. It's annoying, isn't it? HMPH. I don't know if it's the power of God or what, but I guess you're just on that level. Odis laughed hard as if he was provoking them. But Tone and the others did not react to the provocation. Sure, that may be so. We're not used to this power yet, so it's just right. What? The next moment, Tone smiled wickedly. Because you know right. We have just the right training subject in front of us. We can use you to further develop our divine power. What did you say? Yuzagi frowned at Tone's strange announcement. Base. The conversation is over. Divine sound. Exclamation. Twin holy impulses. When Tone played his lyre again, a powerful sound wave, incomparable to the previous ones, attacked Yuzagi and Odis. Since it was impossible to evade the attack, Yuzagi used his ears and legs to release a huge shockwave as well. The shockwave collided with Tone's sound wave, but because of the divine power of Tone and Sira, Yuzagi's attack was easily deflected. Holy magic cannon. At the same time, Odis fired a volley of holy power and magic at Tone's divine sound and tried to stop it in combination with Yuzagi's attack, but it was not enough to stop it. Hey, you haven't forgotten that I'm here, have you? Divine horn. Sira's horns were covered in a rainbow-colored aura, and when they resonated with each other, a bombardment of rainbow aura shot out from between his horns. This bombardment immediately merged with Tone's divine sound and became an enormous stream of power that engulfed the attacks of Yuzagi and Odis. Wah! Exclamation. The two of them tried to avoid it, but they could not move from the spot due to the recoil caused by the successive release of the great force and ended up in a state full of wounds. And then... Damn it. Yuzagi and Odis survived by quickly using magic power, holy power, and divine authority, which they were able to activate only slightly, perhaps out of survival instinct. But that was all they could do. With even the smallest power left to move gone, Yuzagi and Odis fell to the ground. Tone sighed in front of them. Phew, they were a stubborn pair. More importantly, Cirrus. You almost killed them, didn't you? Oh, why don't we just kill them? Leo's getting beat up over there, you know. I know that, but these two have their uses. Tone played his lyre as he said this, and with a wave of divine power and magic, he lifted the bodies of Yuzagi and Odis, who had collapsed. Then he fixed their bodies in the air as if he wanted to crucify them. It is a kind of show. There are still some people who don't understand our noble principles, aren't there? And that is why when they try to defy us, we will show that even the holy, who was once the hope of humanity, become like this if they defy us. I see. Besides, if we crucify these two, Iris might come back, right? Tone smiled as he said this, imagining Iris in despair. But Cirrus tilted his head. Will she come back? She's not stupid enough to not understand the difference in power, is she? She'll come back, of course. If need be, she may join forces with the opposing forces of humanity or with the holy who don't understand our ideas. But that's okay. If Iris can gather allies and appear before us again, that will be enough to crush the opposition in one fell swoop. Tone laughed and left with the crucified Yuzagi and Odis for Shu. After seeing you, we're off to the underworld. Guyur's thought body silently opened his eyes in the Earth House. It seems that Yuir and Mako have safely made their way to the Between Worlds. HMPH. If I go there, I can kick that intruder's ass in a heartbeat, but it's such a hassle to have to go through the underworld. Woof. Alma, who was left in charge of the absence this time, said this in a somewhat sullen tone. The same goes for Knight, who also feels lonely because he cannot accompany Yuir. Good heavens, to be able to go to the underworld as expected of Yuya-sama is what I'd like to say, but it's frustrating not to be able to accompany him. That's true, but what are you going to do if you can go with him? I'll be right next to Yuya-sama. Sigh. Hey, why are you sighing? Lexia and the others, who did not know the real reason why Yuya went to the underworld, were upset that they could not accompany him. Luna wants to be with Yuya-sama too, doesn't she? That's, well. And Yuti too, right? Affirmative. I'm having trouble eating. Is that what you're worried about? While Yuti is worried about something unusual, Lexia's words continue. Even though I knew it was impossible, I still wanted to be there to help Yuya-sama. I'm sure you both feel the same way. Buhai. Pei. Aren't you too lonely? Akatsuki and Seal were asked so abruptly by Lexia, but they just tilted their heads as if they were not particularly lonely. The air was somewhat relaxed, and Kuya, who was smiling and watching the situation, suddenly felt a strange presence in the house. Huh, what is it? Kuya-sama? Lexia tilted her head at Kuya, who suddenly looked alarmed. Then, just like Kuya, Alma, and Knight felt a strange presence in the house. What is it? There is suddenly a presence. Giardaha. A presence, you mean in this house? Who else besides us? Everyone looked at each other and headed in the direction of the presence, with Kuya leading the way. There, they found themselves in a storage room with a door to another world. The presence comes from here. This is the room with the door that connects to our world, isn't it? I don't have a good feeling about this. Huh, is that how you feel, Genesis Dragon's armor? When Alma made a somewhat weak comment, Lexia's eyes widened. I don't know how much I can feel it, but there's a rush of power in this room that even I can't see the bottom of, and I don't even know what the hell it is that's in here. Almer had been cautious about approaching this room since he had once accidentally activated an item in this storage room that contained the blueprints for a secret weapon from Merle's home planet, the planet Meal. Most of all, he couldn't touch any of the items in this room carelessly. I didn't know it was this kind of room. Question, but have you noticed anything in this room? Emam. The moment Kuya nodded his head, he heard a faint sound at the far end of the room. Shade just now. Oh, it's definitely the sound of something being there. It sounded like something trying to open the lid of something, or something like that, coming from the room. But who in the world? To enter this house from the outside, you have to get past the vigilance of me and the others. Besides, from the other side of the world, no one can come through the door without Yuya's permission. Could it be the work of rats or other small animals? That is also unlikely. With me and Knight present, such a presence would not be missed. Woof. Knight nodded vigorously at Alma's words. Of course, if it were an insect-like creature, Alma and the others would not pay attention to it unless it was something very special. However, the sound they had just heard and the presence that Kuya and the others sensed did not come from a creature as small as an insect. Most importantly, what was heard was the sound of something moving some kind of cover, and it was hard to believe that an insect-like being could do such a thing. There's no point in thinking about it at the entrance. Let's go inside first. We're going in too. Huh. As I said, anything can happen in this room. It is dangerous. I know that, but we've been through this room before, and more than anything, we're curious to see what's in here. Hey, don't try to go into a dangerous place just out of curiosity. I can't help it. I'm curious. Aren't you curious too, Luna? No, it bothers me, but I'm your bodyguard, remember. I won't let you go all the way to such a dangerous place. Oh, dear. No need to go into details. Anyway, I'm coming in. Kuya sighed when Lexia said that, cutting off Luna's petulant words. Sigh, do whatever you want, but don't touch anything in the storm without permission, okay? I understand. Kuya told her with a serious expression, and Lexia nodded with a serious look on her face. So they all entered the storage room together, and I didn't have a good look at the inside of this room, but there's really a lot of stuff in here, right? Unknown. What is the purpose of all this stuff? Lexia and the others looked curiously at the items in the storage room. Meanwhile, Kuya and Alma searched for the owner of the presents. As I thought, There is a strange presence, but I never thought that I would come this far and still not know where the presence is. It can't be helped. There are too many forces swirling around here. Because these forces interfere with each other, it is impossible to properly search for a presence. In fact, it would be a miracle if we could even detect a presence at this distance. As Elmer said, there were so many different forces swirling around this storeroom that it was extremely difficult to pinpoint the source of the presence. For now, let's split up and look for anything strange. But if you find something, don't touch it, okay? Listening to Kuya's warning, everyone searched the storage room. Lexia is not a fighter by nature and does not have the ability to sense power or presence. Therefore, she looked around with curiosity. Luna and Yuri, on the other hand, are people who throw themselves into battle, so they carefully examine the items in the room and break into a cold sweat at the sheer force of the power they contain. It's surprising it doesn't look like magic or anything like that, but if you pay attention, you can see that there's tremendous power in it. Affirmative. If that power is unleashed, it will not only destroy this house but the entire city. I feel a terrible power in these wooden sticks and dolls of unknown use. Agreed. That key over there, too, I don't know what it's used for, but it has more power in it than I've ever seen before. The items that Yuri and Luna were looking at were seemingly ordinary items, but when they sensed the power that was put into them, they also seemed to be items that were known to be of great value. Although Kuya had already explained the situation to them, they became more cautious when they realized the danger of the items in the storage room. Meanwhile, Akatsuki and Seal, like Lexia, looked around at the various items and let their curiosity get the better of them. Buhai, Buhai, Buhai. Hei. Wolf. Fugo. Hei. However, they were retrieved by Knight, who thought that if he left them alone, they would start touching everything on their own. At that moment, he tried to force them out by putting his mouth on their backs. Wolf. Suddenly, Knight felt a strange surge of power and a look. Buhai. Hei. Akatsuki and Seal tilted their heads at Knight, who suddenly stopped moving. Knight immediately looked around, thinking that the owner of that power and look might be the one responsible for the presence they had felt before they came here. Then he saw a group of countless masks hanging on the wall. They were mysterious masks that looked like they might be used in some kind of ritual. Knight looked at the masks cautiously. Soon after, Knight tried to move away from the masks, but Akatsuki, who was interested in the masks, scratched the wall where the masks were hanging. Then, Wolf. Fugo? Hei. The slight vibration caused the masks to fall, and they were attached to the faces of Knight and the others as if they had been sucked into the masks. At that moment, a dark green light appeared in the eyes of the masks. The light grew stronger and spread throughout the room. What is that? Kuya and the others, who immediately sensed that something was wrong, rushed into the room to find the masked Knight and the others. He rushed to remove the masks, but there was no sign of them coming off at all. What? Knight? What's going on? On Knight's face is a vicious wolf mask. Akatsuki got the mask of a ferocious boar, and Seal got the mask of a ruthless bird. Kuya and Almer immediately approached to remove the masks from Knight and the others, but... Hein. Buhai. Hei. The dark green light emanating from the masks enveloped the bodies of Knight and the others, and then the three of them disappeared in an instant. And now moving on to part 2 of this chapter. The story is just getting more exciting, so let's dive right in and see where it takes us. This is the Between Worlds. Mako and I, who had been sent to the Between Worlds by the power of Rime-sama, were absolutely amazed at the space that spread out in front of us. There was a world that looked like soap bubbles floating here and there, just as Rime-sama had explained to me. Moreover, the worlds were very small, about the size of the palm of my hand. Besides the bubble-like world floating in the air, there was nothing but pitch-black space. Although I feel like I am standing here, I am not even sure if the ground exists in this black space. Is this bubble really a world? How could it be smaller than us? It's not like we're getting bigger. I couldn't understand why the size was so strange, but suddenly I felt a strange sensation of power in my body. What is this? This power is... Did you feel it too, Master? Does that mean that you felt it as well, Mako? Mako nodded in response to my question, but she also looked a bit puzzled. Then Kira spoke. I was surprised by the suddenness of it, but it was as if a new power had risen from within you. In other words, you don't mean the power that came from outside, but the power that was originally within us. That's what I'm saying. According to the explanation of the Master of the Underworld, This space is a place where people with a large existence drift around, isn't it? Could it be that the dimension of their existence is so great that they have a power that can be called the power of existence? It's as if it appeared in their bodies when they came to this dimension, isn't it? T/Endang, a new power? The power of existence. I don't know how much of Kuro's explanation is true, but for now, let's assume that this power of existence is a power that suddenly appeared in my body. It's a power that I didn't notice when I lived in the world, or rather, I didn't need to be aware of it. But now that I'm here in this between worlds, I definitely need to be aware of it. My master, look at that thing. While I was still thinking about it, Mako suddenly raised her voice. I looked in the direction she indicated, and to my surprise, there was a strange creature floating there that looked like a sea anemone. What is that? That thing. I let out an involuntary gasp and activated my identification skill. Then, level colon. Magic power. Attack. Defense. Intelligence. Lucky. Nothing was displayed on the screen except its name. While I was surprised, the drifter noticed us. Kishar. It then let out a deafening scream, moved its anemone-like tentacles like wings, and flew towards us, accelerating at once. I won't let you. Immediately, Miko stood between me and the drifter and raised her right hand. At that moment, a surge of spiritual power came out of Miko's right arm. Spirit Ball. Kishar. The drifter who was directly attacked by Miko was pierced in the torso. However, no blood or other bodily fluids flowed out from the hole. It was just a hollow. We were surprised to see such a drifter's body, but it seemed that Mako's attack had worked, and the drifter disappeared as if dissolving into the space between worlds. Did we defeat it? I don't know. Even though I had activated my presence detection skill and other skills, I had no way of confirming whether or not the drifter had been defeated, partly because I had not been able to detect the drifter's presence before. But still. So Mako can fight with sorcery, too? Since she said that she would follow me, I knew that Miko had the means to fight as well. Besides, the most important part was that Ryume's armor didn't stop Mako from following me. Yes, that's right. Before Master accepted my spiritual power, I couldn't even control it, but now I can control it delicately. However, the only sorcery I can use is the sorcery that Master has taught me. Does this mean that the more sorcery I learn, the stronger Mako will become? Yes. By taking over Mako's spiritual power, I had truly become one with her, but I had no idea that we were also connected in terms of sorcery. As we talked about it, I looked around again. Well, I suddenly found myself in a battle, but there's an attacker here somewhere. I couldn't think of any way to find the masked man here, except for the countless bubble-shaped worlds floating by, otherwise nothing but pitch-black space. I don't know how big this world is, but they might attack our world before we find them. That was the moment I thought that. Suddenly, a surge of spiritual power overflowed out from my heart, and it began to glow purple. Eh? Are you all right, Master? Why, I'm fine, but... As I was suddenly confused, a ray of light appeared, pointing in a certain direction. This is... At the same time, I realized that it was a reaction of the other me that resided within me. Could it be that the other me is telling me where those mysterious men are? Whatever it is, we have no other clue now. Let's just follow the light for now. Yes. As we moved forward, the drifters suddenly appeared. What? Where did they come from? Without any warning, they suddenly appeared and extended their tentacles toward our startled eyes. Kishar. Har. I immediately pulled out my omnisword and slashed the tentacles away. Unlike dealing with demons, you don't need to use any special magic or spiritual power to do damage. But... Shar. One of the drifters let out a particularly powerful roar. The next moment, a huge number of drifters suddenly appeared as if surrounding us. Wah. I won't let you. Spirit Ball. In response, Mako also created countless clumps of spiritual power and shot them at the approaching drifters. Although she was able to defeat the drifters with each strike, their sheer numbers made it difficult to deal with them all. Like Mako, I activated my spirit ball and just kept hitting the ones that came near me. However, these drifters seemed to have no concept of camaraderie. They just came at us in a straight line, sometimes crushing their friends and swarming around us. The sheer force of their numbers pushed us farther and farther away. We haven't even reached the attackers yet. This is no time to save our strength. I was about to activate not only my spiritual and mystical powers but also my creation of the holy and the evil, and at that moment, meow. Suddenly, a white shadow passed between us and the drifters. The drifters swarming around us were instantly wiped out. Huh. What in the world? We were stunned by the sudden situation. In the midst of all this, the white shadow continued to move briskly, slicing through the bodies of the drifters one by one, obliterating them. As I could do nothing but watch the bizarre scene, all the drifters who had rushed to the scene disappeared. And then, meow. Sea cat. In front of us, a white cat the size of Night was sitting in an Egyptian pose, staring at us. The cat's eyes were shining black, and its body hairs were emitting sparkling light, giving the impression of stars. I was startled by the unexpected presence but soon came to my senses. Well, are you the one who rescued us? Meow. The white cat stood up and slid her body close to my feet. It looked as if it wanted to be spoiled by me. I guess this white cat had defeated those drifters. Then, this time, it turned to me and showed me its belly. At that moment, "You've successfully tamed Dimension Cat." Huh. Meow. Surprisingly, a message appeared saying that I had successfully tamed this white cat. I don't know anything about this white cat, and I don't know why this cat helped me. But it seemed that I had indeed tamed this white cat. "You, master. That cat over there is." It looks like she saved us, and it looks like she was just tamed by me. Tamed. It means that we are a family now, like Knight and the others. It's so sudden. As Mako said, it really is sudden. Well, to put it another way, Akatsuki's time was also pretty sudden, and Aoma-san was tamed just because he ate my curry. I look at the white cat, the Dimension Cat, with it in mind. When I looked at the cat, the white cat showed her belly and tilted her head. See cute. I crouched down and called out to her, feeling at ease with her relaxed appearance, which was hard to believe that she was the one who had been involved in the massacre. "Hey you, it looks like you're one of us now." Meow. The white cat nodded, not seeming to mind. Then she stood up again and looked right at me. For some reason, there was such a strong emotion in her eyes, as if she was looking at someone she had thought about for a long time. I don't know why this white cat is showing so much affection towards me, but this is how she became one of us. I stroked the white cat gently and held her in my arms. The cat did not seem to put up any particular resistance, but settled quietly in my arms and purred. As I watched the cat, I gave her the words that came to mind. "Your name is Stellar." Seeing her shining like a star, I gave her that name. Hearing my words, Stellar, the white cat meowed somewhat happily. At the same time, I also activated the identification skill on Stellar, but I couldn't find anything except her species name, Dimension Cat. Well, we added a friend named Stellar to our unexpected attack, and now we're going to defeat a certain enemy. Can you help us? Meow. Stellar nodded happily at my question, jumped down from my arms, and began to take the lead, following the light that was still radiating from my heart. Stellar Sama is apparently a creature that lives in this between worlds. Yes. I thought it was a space inhabited by all those drifters, but I wonder if it's not so surprising. Well, that attacker was also humanoid, and there may be a variety of beings if you look for them. As we continued in this manner, Stellar suddenly stopped. Fashar. Stellar? And then, as she emitted a fierce and threatening voice, "I didn't expect you to attack us instead." Out of nowhere, the masked man who had killed the other me appeared. Around the time you went to the Between Worlds. At Osei Academy, Kaori was working for the student council for the next event and so on. Since it was a holiday, there was no need to go to school if there were no club activities, but Kaori liked the work of the student council, so she did not find it hard to work like this on holidays. So Kaori looked through some papers, took a break, and stared at the window of the student council room. The look in her eyes seemed to be troubled by something. "School idol, is it?" Actually, Kaori was worried about something related to the school idol project that Kitaraku had started since the open campus. Is Yuya-san really going to start as a school idol too? It was the male school idol plan that Kitaraku had told her the last time. Originally, Kaori could not hide her surprise because she thought that the plan was only for female school idols. On top of that, seeing Lexia and the others practicing for the open campus stage and Yuya supporting them, Kaori felt a slight sense of impatience. If I can move more freely, I, too, can be taken care of by Yuya-san as a school idol. Kaori blushed and shook her head when she said that. And no, that's not what I'm trying to do. Kaori said without thinking, even though she had no one to make an excuse to. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm envious. At first, she was content to just support Yuya, who was entrusted with the school idol project. However, when she saw Lexia and the others getting closer and closer to Yuya, her impatience began to grow. If she was athletic enough, Kaori wanted to join the school idol program and get to know Yuya better. I can't help but think about it. I am me, more with Yuya-san. How'd you con? Eh? Then the door to the student council room suddenly opened, and Kitaraku appeared. Kaori's eyes widened as she did not expect Kitaraku to come to the student council office to work on his day off. President, why are you here? Well, I know that you've been busy lately moving a lot of plans around, so I thought I'd do something I could help with on my days off. Besides, I'm not the kind of person who stays at home and does nothing. I see. Considering Kitaraku's personality, Kaori agreed that it was only natural. But there was another reason why he visited the student council office. Oops, I actually came to ask about you. When Kitaraku said that, a puzzled look appeared on his face, which was unusual for him. There's someone calling for you at the school gate right now. Is he calling for me? Yes. If possible, you should hurry to the school gate. I understand. Seeing a somewhat nervous appearance that she could not imagine from the usual Kitaraku, Kaori tilted her head and headed for the school gate. Then she saw a number of luxurious-looking black cars parked there. What in the world is this? Kaori. While she was stunned, not knowing what was happening, a young man appeared from one of the luxury cars. Why you? Kaori's eyes widened at the sight of the young man, and at the same time, she was confused. First of all, the young man and Kaori had met once in the past, but they were not close friends at all. And most importantly, the young man was not the kind of person who could just show up at a place like this. Despite Kaori's confusion, the young man comes over and kneels down. Why? He then took Kaori's hand and declared with dignity, Kaori, will you marry me? While Yuya was away, many things started to happen around Kaori. Thank you for watching Pages with Sidra. I hope you enjoyed this chapter of I Got a Cheat Ability in a Different World and became extraordinary even in the real world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more volumes and novels. Let's keep exploring these amazing stories together. See you in the next one.